Well, we have decided, I don't know if you could say officially, but we've decided we are not going to wash either one of the combines this year. Everything stayed so dry, we never got rained on, we were able to blow everything off pretty well, so we've just decided we'll scrub them down next year. This way, we're not risking getting water in the bearings and having anything freeze over the winter. So I'm gonna wheel this thing back down where I blew it off and put the shields back on it. I left all the shields laying down here because there's a lot of them and some of them are fairly heavy. And I thought there was a decent chance that we might wash the thing and it's easier to really get it clean with all the shields off. Looks like Dad's pushing the rubber mats over the pits. We're done putting grain in those for the year. I keep forgetting to mention I've gotten a lot of questions, you know, big one being, why don't you cover the pits in the off season? Then you wouldn't get that rainwater in there you got to pump out every year. Well, we do. They're covered with rubber mats. It still gets in there. I think most of it is snow melt and not rainwater. Or I think some of it's condensation as well. Now it's tiled out around those to pump the water out from around them, so it's not groundwater leaking in either. So it's just one of those things. And a lot of people ask why we don't build a building over the top of them. Well, because buildings cost money, and then when we're loading trucks in the wintertime, it's just less convenient to jump in and out of a building and to turn the bins on and off, and then you got to move snow around it, and then the bees wing swirl around it, and you got to drive around it in the yard. We don't want a building there. It's a couple $100 a year to have the water pumped out at the beginning of harvest. It's really not a big deal. What is a big deal is this sweet new vacuum I got, so nothing will have a dirty floor ever again. Or seat. This extended Gen 5 monitor is also a really nice monitor, and we get cold winters up here, so there's no point in this thing sitting in this combine all winter when it hits 30 below. Oh. I hate those connections. And lastly, that little guy right there. And now it's time to start stacking the shed. There's no reason for the combines to be towards the front, so we're gonna move some stuff in the back here and tuck the combines in. Bring on the cluttered yard. Lots and lots of odds and ends. Okay.
Your fingers, are they out the way?
Yep. 4 inches.
I can see my brakes are stuck.
Come back again.
I see that. I'm trying. Put my foot on the brakes.
All right. Well, instead of standing there and taking video of him, I may as well go do something myself and learn how to talk. And Onyx is home from ripping. Now he finished up another field, so that's getting us way down there on acres now at this point. Look at that. He even brought it home with no sheared bolts or anything extra broken. Definitely some broken stuff on it, but that was me and Jim, not Onyx. I think I'll head to the back corner here and make room for the combines. Hopefully we're going to be using the camper before we use the combines next. Now this is our enclosed race car trailer, but ever since Onyx started racing, I needed something that would haul 2 cars. So I'm trying to sell this one. So if anybody's interested, it's a pretty snazzy single car trailer. Got the compressor up front here, bunch of storage room, all aluminum, 7,000 pound spread axles, Plenty, and I think the battery's dead, so I can't turn the lights on in here, but it's got good lighting, plenty of bench space, lots of cabinets, ramp over so it fits a late model, tons of tire room, and privacy doors. I planned on showing you guys the privacy doors, but I had an incident, so I'm probably just gonna back this out of the way and then go wash my hands. I think it looks a lot worse than what it is.
Have we had that header on any different machine, or has it always been 9870?
This one?
Yeah.
We had it on the 780 that we demoed a few years ago, for sure.
We must have.
We did.
Which way?
In, towards me. Farther. Hold it. In towards me. Just lift it up, or twist it up. There. "5 feet. Yep. We really weren't planning on doing the John Deere shuffle today, but sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. Oh, we got a few things moved around. Now it is time to kind of start shutting the dryer down and stuff, so we can switch the distributor over and close the valve. I'm gonna turn the gas off of the dryer. For the dryer? Not at the dryer, at the tank. All right, those lines are closed. We're just gonna fire it up and burn it so that it burns the line empty.
Do these guys.
Okay, so yesterday was one of those days where I just got busy. We burned the gas out of the lines on the dryer, cleaned up a bunch of stuff, and I just set the camera down and quit recording. And then I turned this fan off because this is the one that makes too much noise from the bedroom. When the wind is funny, it changes noises and makes me think someone's driving in the yard every 3 minutes. So she's fired back up again now. We gotta do something with our steel pile here. But I'm not gonna worry about that right now because Becky and I are actually headed to town to close on 40 acres of land that we're buying. So we're pretty excited about that. And then I gotta go meet with a landlord for lunch. We're gonna sign some agreements, sign another contract. And so that's nice. And then I'm gonna meet Coulter from John Deere. He's got a new disc chisel that John Deere came out with. I don't remember the number of it, so I'm not gonna pretend I do and say what it is. So I'm probably just gonna have to turn the camera off, and next time I see you, we'll be at the field with Coulter. Well, we did it. We signed some autographs and shook some hands, and now it's time to go back to normal work. So far there's a Midwest Machinery pickup, but I don't see any representatives from Midwest Machinery here. Hey, look. I'm outstanding in my field. The landlord's been in here and baled some of the corn stalks off of this. He raised the rake a little bit, so he left a little bit more residue out here for us. But this is a good chance to really look and see the ground in some areas and see what there is left for kernels, which is not much. Dang, that green combine did a good job. I don't hardly see anything from here to the end. You're late.
I am late.
That's fine.
We found everybody in the small county on the road. So,
How far did you have to drive it?
4 miles.
Oh, not very far then.
And we had to stop for REA Electricity is actually doing some work right just half mile south.
You had to stop and get through there?
Stop and kind of weave our way through, but we're here now and that's what matters. And with the high productivity of this tool, it's not going to matter that we're running a little bit late.
It's not going to take long?
Not going to take long at all. So, Coulter Chisel 19, we got 19 shanks on this tool. In the front we have our Coulters spaced at 7.5 inches apart.
So they're narrow?
Yep, narrowed up on the front, straight. straight blade, no angle to them at all. But then our shanks behind it are 15 inches. We're running a 4-inch twist on there.
Okay.
So 19 shanks on there. We come out to 23 feet wide.
Okay.
We have the new harrow on the back there.
Yep.
So the Rippers used to have a 20-inch harrow on there.
Yep.
This is a now new and improved 30-inch harrow that they also increased the diameter on.
Okay.
So we're going to see a longer life on those, and we're actually doing a way better job even without the rolling baskets on the back of this tool.
And everything is on true set, right? So you can adjust the Coulters versus the shanks versus the leveling system in the back?
Yep. So the only thing that's not true set is the harrows.
Okay.
So the baskets are true set pressure.
Pressure, yep.
We're going to set depth on our shanks, and we're actually going to set a down pressure on our Coulter. So right now this tool, a lot of people are running it 7 inches deep at 7 miles an hour. That's kind of what they're doing. So on a true depth Chisel Plow 2430 that Deere has out right now, you got a 1,200 pound trip force on your shanks.
Okay.
On here they upped into a 1,600 pound trip force on each shank.
Have you snagged any big giant rocks with it yet and seen what it's done?
We were right down by Lake Emily, just down there, and we pulled out one that was almost 2 feet in diameter, and it rolled it out. We didn't break anything, didn't even, we hit it on the right hand side here, never even damaged the disc plate on the front.
Well, unfortunately this field doesn't have much for big buried rocks.
That's a good thing though.
Yeah, I guess so, but I'd like to really test this thing, maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
So the spring is stiffer and the shank is beefier?
Yep, so they reinforced this spring. Now we're talking 1,600 pounds a trip versus 1,200. They thickened up the actual spring, or the actual tine that's running down there.
Yep.
So on the bottom, for our shovels, we're actually running a 1/4 inch longer bolt to get through that little bit longer spring to handle that 1,600 pounds of trip force.
And that shovel's got a pretty good twist to it.
Yep.
So is there a shear bolt anywhere?
There is no shear bolts on here.
There's not, okay.
We're just relying all on this spring.
On the movement of that.
Yep, when we hit that big rock, it tripped all the way up over the top of it, rolled it out, and they reset right back down to where they were supposed to be.
Okay.
So luckily no shear bolts, so you have to worry about breaking.
So they're bolted here. Okay, this was the next thing I was gonna look at since you beefed up all this.
Yep.
This frame's plenty thick, and then you're not using a normal C-bolt here. You've got a large bracket there to spread it out.
Yeah, so Deere switched up this to handle that extra load that we have in there. That's actually gonna come from the factory now. This kind of main part here, all snugged down tight like it's supposed to be.
Yep.
So that's gonna be a factory installed part, and then we just have to put on springs when it actually comes. So we're gonna see a little bit more reliability in that part. We're not gonna see any breakage. We're not like the U-bolts that used to snap all the time. We should be away from that now with this tool.
They've got a pretty good amount of twist on there, so I'm expecting it to move a lot of dirt. And yeah, you can really see how much heavier that harrow is right here.
So this tool's been around since kind of middle of August, been bouncing around different farms, obviously, from here all the way up to the Canadian border. And these tines, they got a little bit of wear, but they haven't lost any wear, and there's plenty of acres on this tool. So estimated roughly, now we're talking rough numbers, 8,000 acres on this tool as it sits right now.
On this one, okay.
No tines on the back have been replaced. The baskets are still the same, and then the Coulter blades in the front are still the same. We did go through, I know they just switched shovels out here about a week ago, but that's the only thing that's been replaced throughout this thing's journey so far this fall.
And the ground is really hard right now here.
Yeah.
We are struggling with the ripper too. We're burning up ripper points. I mean, it's just hard.
Yeah, and these points are on the monitor. It's looking like 800 acres is what we have on them. As you can see, we're getting pretty war here.
So you can just flip them over too. Yep. All right, that's enough of the technical stuff. We're just gonna see now if this thing will move some dirt. 2 Gen 5 monitors. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. So new tractor here, model year 24. No, model year 25. This tractor is. So we got G5 extend monitor.
You're selling too much. I just want to see the dirt move. So we're going up against here. We're set a little fast, huh?
Yeah, back or down.
Dial it back a little bit. We're up against here where Onyx ran the ripper. We had our 2730 ripper out here. This has all been baled too. Not that the color of the ground behind us necessarily matters, but it is one of the gauges we'll look at. And it really doesn't look any different right now. Am I correct saying we're 8 inches deep on the shanks right now? The other ones are all on pressure, so they're set to 575 and 550?
Yep, so we're 8 inches deep, 575 PSI on our Coulters in the front. And then we're set right now at, what does it look like, 550?
Yeah, on the
PSI
basket.
Baskets in the back.
Okay.
The Coulters is we're not looking to do tillage, we're just looking to kind of chop and size that residue on the front there.
Yep.
So out of this tractor, it's a little bit difficult to see them, but right now it looks like we're 1.5 to 2 inches in the ground, which is roughly where we want those Coulters to be. So enough that we're slicing corn stalks, but we don't need to actually try to be doing tillage with it.
I'm a little surprised at how much moisture must be down there. By the way, the soil is sticking to the mainframe tires. You can really see the slabs of dirt coming off the twisted shanks. And if there was enough moisture and we were worried about it, we can raise the Coulters. You can just set that on your true set so the Coulters aren't in the ground, I'd assume, at all.
Correct, yep, we can get all the way out of the ground.
So same thing with the baskets.
Yeah, if we need to, we can get those baskets up. So if we're pushing it in the fall, we're getting late, we're getting wet, there's snow on the ground, we can get the baskets out of the way. So that way we're not plugging those, but we still got that new harrow on the back, making sure we get that nice level finish.
Okay, so the coil tine can still be working, but we can get that rolling basket out of there.
Yep.
That's one of the things that's so nice about the equipment today is how adjustable it is like that for different conditions. Everything's just been going that way. Yeah. Oh, finally, I got rid of him. Now I can tell you guys what I really think. My first thoughts on this after just a few rounds, I like the idea of it. I certainly think it's gonna have its place. It's doing a great job right here. This is the place for it. I know it would be good on soybean ground. We could raise it up to, 5 inches, 6 inches deep and pull it like a normal chisel plow. Run the Coulters up or down. I think it would do a fantastic job on soybean ground. Compared to our regular chisel plow, it's a little stronger, it's maybe a little more overkill, there's more moving pieces, maybe it's a little more expensive than what we have, I don't know. But it would work just fine for that. Where I would question if it would work well enough is in heavy actual corn residue. A little bit of a washout there. That's what I like the RTs for, that would have been smoother on that. Heavy corn residue, is this thing gonna do what a ripper does? I'm not sure, and I wish I had some to test it on, but when Colton got in touch with me, this is just what we had left. This is our last bit of corn stalk tillage for the year, and this has all been baled. So here where it's baled, and the residue is short, it's doing a great job. There's nothing more that I would need out of this thing on this ground. But if I'm being perfectly transparent, on our short list of things to upgrade is the 2730 ripper and our chisel plow. Is that a 2410? Or is that the field cultivator? I don't know. The John Deere chisel plow. We have the Mendeco chisel plow there, which does a fine job. The John Deere chisel plow is owned by Dad. I own the 2730 ripper. We've looked at updating both of them. Could we trade them both for one machine like this and do corn and soybean ground with one machine instead of two? I'm not completely positive or confident in that yet. If I want a little bit more coverage, I need more coverage on the longer residue. I think I'm gonna need more speed. And I'm told this implement is capable of going 10 miles an hour. You can pull it at 10 miles an hour, but I don't have the horsepower to do it. So I'm set at 7 miles an hour right here. This is a 590 horsepower tractor. We've got 570 horsepower tractors currently. And I can't get it to, I can get it to 7 if I really want it to dig, but looking at my engine power, I've already got this thing on its knees. So really, I slowed down a bit there. It wants to pull it at 6 miles an hour. And Colton did say immediately, round number 1, he said this was the hardest pulling ground he's had this thing in yet. And it sounds like it's really been around. So this field is pulling hard, but I don't know if this field's pulling harder than most of our fields. So if you can't pull it 7-8 miles per hour, we're not gaining as much productivity as I had hoped for versus a ripper that you pull at 6 miles an hour. Now the ripper's only 18.5 feet wide. This is 23. So you do gain some there because right here I'm doing 16.5 acres per hour. I can bump my speed up to a little bit and I can get it up to, 18 acres an hour. That is faster than our ripper at 12 to 13 acres per hour, but again, is it going to do as good of a job if I can only pull it 6.5 miles per hour on full corn residue? I don't know. So this thing is more than a chisel plow. It's a chisel plow on steroids. But it's not going to do the job that a ripper does. And they know that, you know, that's what it's designed for. Can it do both though is the big question I would have if I were interested in purchasing one of these. And some of that's going to depend on, all of that's going to depend on your operation, your ground, and what you're going for. If you're not looking for as much coverage on your cornstalk residue, or you're in different soils, you can pull this thing 10 miles an hour, probably a solid choice, good option. Hopefully I explained all of that and now it's clear as mud for you. All right, we're just gonna take a look here, make sure everything's still looking good. Make sure we don't have any damages going. I've got a few acres covered here. It's really doing a nice job. I think you could get this thing set pretty nicely to where you could have a really nice looking seed bed. You know, you can check your depth here. That's pretty mellow, it's working pretty nice. It's doing what it needs to do. I really like, and this is pretty common for today's age now, the fact that we can raise the rolling basket up if we're in too much moisture and we got stuff sticking to the basket, we can raise that up and out of the way. Same way with the Coulters, if we don't need them down, you don't need them down. And all of that can be changed from in the cab, on the go with the computer. Things are just, you know what I mean? You never would have thought, you know, when I was a kid, you'd have to come out here with wrenches to adjust anything like that. It is doing a pretty good job. I'm satisfied with this thing. Finishing some of the end rows and looking down the whole field from here, it really left a pretty smooth finished product there between the coil tine and the coil tine and the basket. Those two seem to work pretty well together, really, to leave things really nice and smooth. And thunder. I'm gonna run enough fuel in here just to get this thing back to at least where it was when they brought it for me. There we go. Overall, a really solid machine. I like it. I think they have a good thing going here. And I got finished just in time to get fueled up and hopefully get to town for the first haircut that I've had since August. All right, here we go. There. Thank you, Jen. Good work. I even got to see the master pipe layer. He looked like he needed a haircut. More importantly, I think I just adjusted my camera back to a normal color setting, which has maybe been off for like several videos now. I don't know. I bumped the camera, I screwed up. I don't know what's going on. So sorry if myself and everybody's been super orange for the last couple videos. Well, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Go buy a shirt or something. It's linked down below. Appreciate it.